So here is Zulus on the Ramparts. As you can see, it uses the same system as Israeli independence. We've got 4 axes coming in. We've got the left horn, the chest, the right horn, and the loins. And there's going to be a different Zulu unit on each one of them. Each Zulu unit is rated only for the number of hits that it takes. Right? And they're applied randomly, less than random here. Right? And these mark the number of hits that they can take. So the Zulus are all moving in along these 4 axes, trying to get into the Zulu victory marker. If a Zulu unit steps on that in its move, the battle is over with, the British are defeated, and you count up your victory points. One of the things you can do with your actions is build barricades. You have to assign a lieutenant or a sergeant to do this task. And it takes several turns to do it, and that allows you to move the Zulu marker further away from the 0. This increases the space and the distance that the Zulus have to travel. It also forces the Zulus into a bottleneck, that instead of all coming from every direction, they have to all get channeled down this one pathway, which really gives you an advantage. Well, not an advantage, but it helps you hold off complete defeat there. You start with only 3 cards, right? Lieutenant Bromhead, Chard, and a volley card. Each one, you'll notice, is got a number of dice that it can roll for each range. When you're doing a volley, close, medium, long, you have to discard or throw that card out of the game in order to fire that volley. So most of the time, you're just using standard volley cards. You don't want to be throwing your heroes away at the beginning of the battle just to get some dice. Movement of the Zulus is by chit. Right? We have our classic opaque container. We pull this first one, and you can see it's got 2 arrows for the horns, a long line here for the chest, and a smaller line for the loins. This means that the chest moves 1. So we'll move this particular regiment up 1. It's now the British turn. So just for fun, I'm going to put forth a hero. So now Lieutenant Bromhead is available, and then I'm going to draw a card. That was my one action. That was it. I've drawn a card. After you draw a card, you can put down another hero. I'm going to put down Lieutenant Chard. So now I've got 2 heroes. Back to the Zulus. And the Zulu move. No, not that one. I want something dramatic here. There we go. Here's a 2 with both horns moving forward. Right? So you never know who's going to move and how far they're going to move, with the exception that as you draw them, you set them aside and they decrease. Obviously, you'll know that eventually the loins are going to move 3. Some of them are going to move 2, some are going to move 1. Sometimes all of them will move. Most of the time, only one of them will move. In this case, it's now my turn. And just for fun, I'm going to use a volley. So I'm going to go ahead and play Here They Come, which not only gives me a volley of 3 dice at long range. At a 3, I'm going to fire at this guy over here. But it also gives you a free move. Right now I'm low on ammunition, so I take a -1 from the highest die, which unfortunately is a 6, which becomes a 5, which means that this guy retreats. But I also get to take my free action, so I'm going to use Lieutenant Chard. He's going to go and distribute ammunition and water to everyone, so I can remove that. So any more volleys are not going to have that modifier, unless I end up getting that modifier again. You can run low on ammunition and have to go through that process again. Okay, so now I draw a card, but in this case I'm going to be fancy. One of the things that Bromhead can do is, never mind. Let's say I'm going to discard this card. I can discard this and take 2 cards along with 1 more. So now I've got 5, and I can put down a leader. Obviously, that isn't a good idea, but I'm just trying to demonstrate. You don't want to be discarding your lieutenants right at the beginning of the game. The real fun part of the game is the Zulus moving closer and closer as you try desperately to fire a volley at that axis or this regiment. But as you finally get more and more cards and start putting them down, each card has a number of different things that it can do. Different sergeants have different powers, different privates, and it becomes the interplay of the cards. You're trying to find the best combination of cards to put down to prevent the Zulus from moving in, to build your barricades, and to fire volleys. And that's where the real tension comes. Even if you're losing or it's obvious that you're winning, you've gotten really lucky with lots of sixes early in the game, it's still fun because what you can be doing is if you're losing, now you're just trying desperately to hold on until the relief column shows up. So you're doing everything you can to draw more cards and just barely hold off the Zulus. If it's obvious that you're going to win, you try and max out the number of victory points that you're going to use by having as many heroes down on the ground and not drawing cards. Drawing cards from the deck is optional. In a sense, you can kind of stop time if you want and inflict the maximum number of casualties. So even if early on things don't look good or you get really lucky, the game can still be fun.